23. Black R&B legends who had shocking love lives revealed after their death. Have you ever wondered how the greatest love songs in history were inspired by lives filled with heartbreak, scandal, secret relationships, and impossible choices? Behind the smooth voices of Ray Charles, Whitney Houston, Prince, Marvin Gaye, and many other black R&B legends are personal stories that are often even more dramatic than their music. Some searched for lasting love, others struggled to protect their private lives, and a few carried secrets that remained hidden for decades. Today, we're uncovering the real stories behind the romance, heartbreak, and unforgettable relationships that shaped these iconic artists. Before we begin, let us know in the comments which black R&B legend has always fascinated you the most. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for golden black legends, so you never miss our next journey into the untold history behind music's greatest icons. Ray Charles. Ray Charles was celebrated as one of the founding fathers of soul music, but behind the unforgettable voice and timeless classics was a personal life that was every bit as complicated as the songs he performed. Over a career spanning more than 5 decades, Charles won 17 Grammy Awards, recorded dozens of chart-topping hits, and became a global icon despite losing his sight in childhood. Yet while millions admired his musical genius, very few understood the complexity of his relationships away from the spotlight. Ray Charles married twice, but he also had numerous long-term and short-term relationships throughout his life. By the time he passed away in 2004, he had fathered 12 children with 10 different women, a fact he openly acknowledged during his later years rather than attempting to hide. In December 2002, realizing his health was declining because of liver disease, Charles invited all 12 of his children to a private gathering in Los Angeles. For several of them, it was the very first time they had met their half-siblings. The emotional reunion reflected both the size of his family and the complicated path that had brought them together. Rather than leaving his children to battle over his estate, Charles established detailed financial arrangements before his death. Each child reportedly received $500,000, while ownership of his music catalog, business interests, and licensing rights was placed into the Ray Charles Foundation, ensuring his artistic legacy would continue supporting charitable causes. Even so, disagreements over inheritance and public perception followed after his passing, illustrating how difficult it can be to separate family relationships from extraordinary fame. Charles himself admitted that balancing worldwide success with a stable private life was never easy. Constant touring, demanding recording schedules, and decades in the public eye placed enormous strain on his marriages and romances. Although his love life often attracted headlines, those who knew him best remembered a man who deeply cared for his children despite the unconventional nature of his family. Ray Charles left behind far more than unforgettable music. His extraordinary talent changed American culture forever, while his complicated romantic history serves as a reminder that even legendary performers can struggle to balance love, family, and fame. His life remains one of soul music's most fascinating and deeply human stories. James Brown. James Brown earned the title the Godfather of Soul through unmatched energy, groundbreaking performances, and an influence that shaped generations of musicians. With classics like Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, I Got You, I Feel Good, and It's a Man's World, Brown transformed popular music and became one of the most influential entertainers of the 20th century. Yet behind the dazzling stage presence was a personal life marked by turbulent relationships, multiple marriages, and years of legal battles that continued long after his death. Brown was married 4 times and acknowledged several children during his lifetime. However, after his passing on Christmas Day in 2006, questions surrounding his estate quickly overshadowed the public mourning. Without a simple resolution to his inheritance, numerous individuals came forward claiming to be biological children or legal heirs. Several paternity claims required DNA testing, and years of litigation followed as courts attempted to determine who had legitimate rights to portions of his multi-million-dollar estate. One of the most closely watched cases involved James Brown II, the son of Brown, and his fourth wife, Tommy Ray Heine. Their marriage itself became the subject of legal disputes because of questions surrounding its validity, adding another layer of complexity to the inheritance battle. Court proceedings stretched on for years before various issues surrounding family rights and estate distribution were gradually resolved. The prolonged legal conflict demonstrated how complicated Brown's personal relationships had become during his later years. Throughout his career, Brown's demanding schedule, relentless touring, and larger-than-life personality often made stable family life difficult. His marriages experienced repeated strain, and his romantic relationships frequently became headline news. While his personal life was far from simple, it also reflected the pressures that accompanied decades of worldwide fame and constant public attention. Despite those controversies, James Brown's musical achievements remain unquestioned. His innovations helped lay the foundation for funk-influenced countless R&B and hip-hop artists and permanently changed modern music. His extraordinary career continues to inspire millions, while the complicated story of his family and relationships reminds us that behind every legendary performer is a deeply human life filled with triumphs, mistakes, love, and lasting consequences. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's voice was often described as once in a generation, but behind her extraordinary success stood a personal life shaped by love, sacrifice, and constant public scrutiny. Selling more than 200 million records worldwide, she became one of the best-selling artists in music history, yet the relationships that mattered most to her were frequently overshadowed by headlines. While millions focused on her chart-topping career, those closest to Whitney understood that her emotional world was far more complicated than the glamorous image presented on stage. Before international fame transformed her life, Whitney developed a close relationship with her longtime friend Robin Crawford. In Crawford's memoir, A Song for You, she revealed that their friendship briefly became romantic during their youth. According to Crawford, they later ended the physical aspect of the relationship because Whitney feared it would damage her career at a time when the music industry expected female superstars to fit a carefully managed public image. Regardless of speculation, the two remained trusted friends for many years. In '92, Whitney married fellow R&B star Bobby Brown, creating one of music's most talked-about celebrity couples. Their daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, was born the following year, bringing moments of happiness amid growing personal struggles. As fame intensified, the marriage became increasingly strained by addiction, relentless media attention, and the pressures of living under a global spotlight. After nearly 15 years together, the couple divorced in 2007. Friends often described Whitney as a deeply caring woman who longed for peace more than publicity. Despite immense professional success, balancing personal happiness with worldwide fame proved incredibly difficult. Her death in 2012 shocked fans across the globe, but it also prompted a more compassionate understanding of the challenges she faced throughout her life. Whitney Houston's love story was never defined by rumors alone. It was a journey marked by devotion, heartbreak, resilience, and the constant struggle to protect her true self while living before the eyes of the world. Prince captivated audiences with unmatched creativity, blending funk, rock, pop, and R&B into a sound entirely his own. Selling more than 100 million records worldwide, he became one of the most influential musicians of his generation while fiercely protecting his private life. Unlike many celebrities who openly discussed their romances, Prince rarely explained his personal relationships, allowing mystery to become part of his enduring legacy. Throughout his career, Prince was linked to several well-known women, including Vanity Susanna Melvoin, Sheila E., and Carmen Electra, though many relationships remained intentionally out of the public eye. In 1996, he married dancer Maite Garcia, whom he had met years earlier during one of his tours. Their relationship seemed filled with hope, but tragedy struck when their son, Amir Nelson, was born with the rare genetic disorder Pfeiffer syndrome type 2 and died just days later. The heartbreaking loss deeply affected both parents and placed enormous strain on their marriage, which ended in divorce in 2000. Prince later married Manuela Testolini in 2001. Although they appeared happy together for several years, the marriage quietly ended in 2006. Friends often described Prince as intensely spiritual, private, and devoted to his work, sometimes placing music above nearly everything else in his life. Those qualities helped shape his genius but also made maintaining long-term relationships especially challenging. When Prince died unexpectedly in April 2016 without a known will, his estate entered years of probate proceedings. Numerous people attempted to establish family connections, but no verified claims of secret children were confirmed. Instead, his siblings ultimately became the recognized heirs after extensive legal reviews. Prince's romantic journey reflected both extraordinary love and profound personal loss. Rather than chasing publicity, he carefully guarded the people closest to him. Even today, his music continues to reveal emotions he rarely expressed in interviews, reminding listeners that behind one of history's greatest performers was a man who valued privacy as deeply as artistic freedom. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye became one of the defining voices of soul music, creating timeless classics such as What's Going On, Let's Get It On, and Sexual Healing. His smooth vocals and deeply emotional songwriting earned him worldwide admiration, but behind the legendary music was a personal life marked by passionate romances, painful heartbreak, and emotional struggles. Much of the love he sang about reflected experiences from his own complicated relationships rather than simple imagination. In 1963, Marvin married Anna Gordy, the older sister of Motown founder Berry Gordy. Their marriage initially appeared strong, but differences in age, financial pressures, and the demands of Marvin's growing career gradually created distance between them. During the 1970s, Marvin began a relationship with Janice Hunter while he was still legally married. Their romance inspired several songs and eventually resulted in 2 children. After divorcing Anna in 1977, Marvin married Janice, hoping to build a fresh start, but ongoing struggles with substance abuse, financial problems, and emotional instability placed enormous strain on the relationship. Their marriage ended only a few years later. As his career reached new heights, Marvin privately battled depression and cocaine addiction. Mounting tax debts forced him to leave the United States for a period, seeking both financial relief and personal peace in Europe. Friends recalled that he constantly searched for spiritual meaning while trying to overcome the pressures of fame and personal disappointment. The final chapter of Marvin's life remains one of music's greatest tragedies. On April 1, 1984, following a heated argument inside his family home, he was fatally shot by his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., just one day before his 45th birthday. His sudden death shocked fans around the world. Marvin Gaye's love life was filled with devotion, conflict, and vulnerability. Rather than diminishing his legacy, those experiences shaped the emotional honesty heard throughout his music, ensuring that his songs continue to touch listeners decades after his passing. Rick James. Rick James built his reputation as one of funk music's boldest personalities, combining unforgettable stage performances with an unapologetic lifestyle that often blurred the line between celebrity and controversy. Best known for hits like Super Freak, Give It To Me Baby, and Mary Jane, he became one of the defining artists of the late 1970s and early 1980s. Behind the larger-than-life image, however, was a personal story filled with passionate romances, difficult choices, and years spent confronting the consequences of excess. Throughout his career, Rick was linked to several high-profile women, including actress Linda Blair and singer Tina Marie, with whom he shared a close musical partnership and lasting friendship. Although they never married, their creative chemistry became one of the most talked-about collaborations in R&B history. Rick also had children from different relationships and openly acknowledged that balancing family life with worldwide fame was one of his greatest challenges. As success grew, so did his dependence on cocaine. Years of substance abuse affected both his health and many of his personal relationships. His legal troubles during the early 1990s resulted in imprisonment, forcing him to confront the destructive lifestyle he had embraced for years. Following his release, Rick gradually returned to music while speaking more honestly about addiction and the mistakes that had shaped his life. Much of what fans know about his private world comes from his autobiography, Glow, completed before his death and published posthumously in 2007. Rather than portraying himself as a victim, Rick candidly admitted that many broken relationships were the result of his own decisions. Rick James died in 2004 at the age of 56 from heart-related causes, with several underlying health conditions contributing to his death. His personal life was often turbulent, but his musical influence remains undeniable. His story serves as a reminder that extraordinary talent can coexist with profound personal struggles, making his legacy both inspiring and deeply human. Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross was celebrated for one of the smoothest voices in R&B history, recording timeless hits such as Never Too Much, Here and Now and Dance with My Father. Over a career spanning more than 3 decades, he won 8 Grammy Awards and became synonymous with romantic music. Ironically, while he spent his career singing about love, his own private life remained one of the music industry's greatest mysteries. Unlike many entertainers of his generation, Luther rarely discussed his romantic relationships in public. He never married and never had children, choosing instead to keep his personal life almost completely separate from his professional career. Throughout the years, journalists repeatedly questioned him about his dating life, but Luther consistently declined to reveal details, believing that his music, not his private relationships, should remain the focus of public attention. Because of that, privacy rumors frequently surrounded his personal life. Various media outlets speculated about his sexuality, yet Luther never publicly confirmed or denied those claims. Friends and colleagues later explained that he valued dignity, discretion, and personal boundaries, especially during an era when intense public scrutiny could easily overshadow an artist's accomplishments. Those closest to him respected his decision to keep deeply personal matters away from the spotlight. Behind the scenes, Luther devoted enormous energy to caring for his family, particularly his mother, Mary Ida Vandross, with whom he shared an exceptionally close bond. His demanding recording schedule and relentless touring left little room for building a conventional family life, but those who knew him described him as generous, loyal, and deeply compassionate. After suffering a severe stroke in 2003, Luther's health declined significantly before his passing in 2005 at the age of 54. Even after his death, the mystery surrounding his private life has continued to fascinate fans. Luther Vandross proved that not every love story needs public headlines. Sometimes the deepest emotions are found not in interviews or tabloids, but in the timeless songs that continue touching millions of hearts around the world. Jackie Wilson. Jackie Wilson earned the nickname Mr. Excitement thanks to his electrifying stage performances and unforgettable hits, including Lonely Teardrops, Higher and Higher, and Baby Workout. His extraordinary charisma influenced generations of performers from James Brown to Michael Jackson. Yet while audiences celebrated his remarkable talent, his private life became increasingly complicated, shaped by fame, multiple relationships, and painful family challenges. Jackie married Frida Hood in 1951, and together they had 4 children. However, as his popularity exploded during the late 1950s and 1960s, constant touring and life on the road placed tremendous strain on the marriage. The couple eventually divorced after years of separation. During his career, Jackie became romantically involved with several other women and fathered additional children outside his first marriage, creating a large and sometimes complicated family. His love life frequently attracted media attention, particularly because his growing fame made maintaining long-term relationships increasingly difficult. Those close to Jackie often described him as charming, generous, and devoted to his children, but also acknowledged that the pressures of celebrity sometimes led to personal decisions with lasting consequences. Beyond romance, Jackie endured heartbreaking family tragedies. In 1970, his teenage son, Jackie Wilson Jr., was tragically killed outside the family's home, a devastating loss that deeply affected the singer emotionally. Friends later recalled that Jackie never fully recovered from the pain, even as he continued performing for audiences around the world. In 1975, Jackie collapsed on stage after suffering a massive heart attack that deprived his brain of oxygen. He remained in a severely disabled condition for nearly 9 years before passing away in 1984 at the age of 49. Although his personal relationships were often complicated, Jackie Wilson's influence on popular music remains unquestioned. His remarkable voice, unforgettable performances, and emotional resilience continue inspiring artists decades later, while his story reminds us that extraordinary fame often comes with deeply personal sacrifices hidden from public view. Barry White. Barry White became the unmistakable voice of romance, captivating audiences with his deep baritone and timeless classics such as Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Babe, You're the First, the Last, My Everything, and Never Never Gonna Give You Up. His music defined love for millions of listeners around the world. Yet his own romantic journey proved far more complex than the smooth lyrics he so effortlessly delivered. Barry married Mary White in the early years of his career, and together they built a family while he worked tirelessly to establish himself in the music industry. As his fame expanded during the 1970s, the pressures of constant touring and professional commitments placed increasing strain on the marriage. The couple eventually divorced after years together. Throughout his life, Barry also had several significant relationships and became the father of multiple children, acknowledging the importance of family despite the challenges created by his demanding career. Unlike many celebrities who sought publicity through their personal lives, Barry generally avoided discussing intimate relationships in interviews. He preferred allowing his music to speak about love rather than offering detailed public commentary on his own experiences. Friends often described him as warm, humorous, and deeply devoted to those closest to him, qualities that contrasted with the larger-than-life image many fans imagined. During the final years of his life, Barry struggled with serious health problems, including hypertension, kidney disease, and diabetes. Even as his health declined, he remained committed to recording music and performing whenever possible. He passed away in 2003 at the age of 58, leaving behind one of the most recognizable voices in popular music. Barry White's personal life included moments of happiness, disappointment, and resilience, much like the stories told through his songs. His enduring legacy reminds listeners that behind every unforgettable love ballad stood a man who understood both the beauty and the complexity of real-life relationships, making his music feel authentic to generations of fans. Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin was rightfully crowned the Queen of Soul. But behind her extraordinary voice and legendary career was a personal life filled with resilience, complicated relationships, and remarkable determination. With 18 Grammy Awards, more than 75 million records sold, and timeless classics like Respect, Natural Woman, and Chain of Fools, she became one of the most influential singers in music history. Yet away from the stage, love often brought challenges rather than peace. Aretha became a mother at a very young age, giving birth to her first son when she was only 12 years old and welcoming a second son 2 years later. While she rarely spoke publicly about that difficult period, she later credited her family, especially her grandmother and sisters, with helping her continue pursuing music while raising her children. Those early experiences shaped her resilience and determination throughout adulthood. In 1961, Aretha married Ted White, who also became her manager. Although the marriage initially supported her rapidly growing career, it eventually became troubled by frequent conflicts and ended in divorce in 1969. She later married actor Glynn Turman in 1978. The couple appeared happy for several years, but the demands of two successful careers and living in different cities gradually created distance, leading to another divorce in 1984. Throughout the following decades, Aretha occasionally became engaged but ultimately chose not to remarry. Friends often described her as someone who valued loyalty and family above publicity. She carefully protected her private relationships, preferring to let her music express emotions she rarely discussed in interviews. Even while battling serious health problems during her final years, Aretha remained devoted to her children, grandchildren, and lifelong friends. She passed away in 2018 at the age of 76, leaving behind a musical legacy unlike any other. Aretha Franklin's love story was never perfect, but it reflected remarkable strength, perseverance, and grace. Her life reminds us that even the greatest voices can endure heartbreak while continuing to inspire generations through music that speaks directly to the soul. Billy Preston. Billy Preston earned the nickname the Fifth Beatle after contributing keyboard performances to recordings by the Beatles, while also building an outstanding solo career with hits like Will It Go Round in Circles and Nothing from Nothing. A gifted musician admired by legends, including Ray Charles, Eric Clapton, and the Rolling Stones, Preston spent decades at the center of popular music. Yet despite his enormous success, his personal life remained deeply private and often misunderstood. Throughout most of his career, Billy rarely discussed his romantic relationships publicly. Growing up in an era when LGBTQ+ artists faced enormous social and professional pressure, he chose to keep much of his personal life away from the spotlight. Friends later suggested that he struggled to reconcile his private identity with his religious upbringing and the expectations placed upon him within both the music industry and his church community. In later years, several people close to Preston acknowledged that he had experienced long periods of loneliness despite his worldwide fame. Rather than attracting attention through public romances, he devoted much of his life to music touring and collaborating with other legendary performers. His extraordinary keyboard talent often placed him alongside history's greatest artists, yet he preferred supporting others rather than becoming the center of public controversy. Billy also faced personal battles involving substance abuse during parts of his career. Those struggles occasionally interrupted his professional momentum, but he continued recording and performing while working toward recovery. Friends remembered him as generous, deeply spiritual, and exceptionally kind, qualities that often went unnoticed outside the recording studio. After years of declining health, Billy Preston died in 2006 at the age of 59, following complications related to kidney disease and hypertension. Although his private life remained largely undisclosed, those closest to him believed he simply wanted to be remembered for his extraordinary musicianship rather than the details of his personal relationships. Billy Preston's story reminds us that not every legend chooses to reveal their heart to the public. Sometimes the deepest truths are expressed through music instead of headlines. Little Richard. Little Richard revolutionized rock and roll with explosive performances, unforgettable hits like Tutti Frutti, Long Tall Sally, and Good Golly, Miss Molly, and a stage presence unlike anything audiences had ever seen. His influence reached generations of artists, including Elvis Presley, the Beatles, Prince, and Michael Jackson. Yet behind the dazzling performances was a lifelong struggle to balance fame, faith, identity, and personal relationships. In 1959, Little Richard married Ernestine Harvin, believing that marriage would bring stability during a period when he had temporarily stepped away from rock music to focus on religion. Although the couple remained together for several years, constant touring, career changes, and personal differences gradually weakened the relationship, leading to divorce in 1964. They never had biological children together, though Richard maintained close family relationships throughout his life. For decades, Richard spoke openly but sometimes inconsistently about his sexuality. At different points, he described himself as gay, bisexual, or someone striving to follow his religious beliefs by rejecting same-sex relationships. These changing public statements reflected an intensely personal struggle rather than a desire for publicity. living through eras when homosexuality was widely stigmatized, placed enormous emotional pressure on many entertainers, and Richard often acknowledged that internal conflict during interviews. Despite the public fascination surrounding his private life, friends consistently described him as generous, deeply spiritual, and endlessly supportive of younger musicians. His influence reached far beyond music, helping break racial barriers and reshape popular culture during the early years of rock and roll. Little Richard passed away in 2020 at the age of 87, leaving behind one of the most transformative legacies in entertainment history. His personal journey was marked by difficult choices, evolving beliefs, and extraordinary resilience. His story reminds us that behind one of music's loudest voices was a man quietly searching for acceptance, purpose, and peace throughout an unforgettable life. David Ruffin. David Ruffin possessed one of the most recognizable voices in Motown history, helping the Temptations become one of the greatest vocal groups of all time. His unforgettable performances on classics like My Girl, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and I Wish It Would Rain established him as a soul music icon. Yet while audiences admired his powerful voice and magnetic stage presence, his personal relationships were often overshadowed by fame, personal struggles, and emotional turmoil. One of David's most famous romances was with legendary singer Tammy Terrell during the mid-1960s. Their relationship attracted widespread attention because both artists were rising stars within the music industry. Although deeply passionate, the romance eventually ended amid reports of jealousy and frequent disagreements. Despite their separation, both continued building remarkable musical careers, and their relationship remains one of Motown's most talked about love stories. David later married Sandra Barnes in 1961, and together they had children before their marriage ended. Throughout his life, he also had several other relationships and became the father of multiple children. Friends often described him as charismatic and affectionate, but they also acknowledged that the pressures of celebrity and his growing struggles with substance abuse made maintaining stable relationships increasingly difficult. By the late 1970s and 1980s, David's cocaine addiction began affecting both his career and personal life. Missed performances, financial difficulties, and health problems gradually replaced the success he had once enjoyed with the Temptations. Even so, many fellow musicians continued supporting him, recognizing the extraordinary talent that remained beneath those personal challenges. David Ruffin died in 1991 at the age of 50 following an accidental drug overdose. His passing marked a heartbreaking end to one of soul music's greatest voices. Although his love life experienced both joy and disappointment, David Ruffin's emotional performances continue resonating with listeners today. His remarkable career reminds us that behind every legendary voice is a deeply human story of love, ambition, vulnerability, and lasting musical brilliance. Lou Rawls built one of the most respected careers in soul and R&B through his unmistakable baritone voice, sophisticated style, and timeless recordings such as You'll Never Find Another Love Like Mine. Over a career spanning more than 4 decades, he sold millions of records, earned 3 Grammy Awards, and became known not only as a singer but also as a television personality and dedicated humanitarian. While audiences admired his smooth delivery, his personal life reflected the same complexity and emotional depth found in many of his songs. Lou married 3 times during his lifetime. His first marriage was to Lana Rawls, followed by a later marriage to Cecilia Rawls. In 2004, he married Nina Inman, who remained by his side during the final years of his life. Each relationship unfolded while Lou balanced an increasingly demanding career that often kept him traveling across the country for concerts, television appearances, and charity events. Maintaining family life alongside constant professional commitments proved challenging, but friends frequently described him as a devoted father who remained deeply connected to his children. Unlike many entertainers whose private lives regularly generated tabloid headlines, Lou preferred keeping his relationships away from public controversy. He rarely discussed personal matters in interviews, believing his audience should remember him for his music rather than his romantic experiences. That quiet approach earned him respect from both fans and fellow performers throughout the entertainment industry. Beyond music, Lou became widely recognized for hosting the United Negro College Fund telethon, helping raise more than $200 million to support educational opportunities for countless students. His commitment to giving back became just as important as his recording career. Lou Rawls passed away in 2006 after battling lung and brain cancer. He was 72 years old. His love life may have remained largely private, but those closest to him remembered a man who valued loyalty, family, and kindness above celebrity. His remarkable legacy continues through both his unforgettable music and his lifelong dedication to helping others. Johnny Taylor. Johnny Taylor earned the nickname the Philosopher of Soul, thanks to his powerful voice, emotional storytelling, and remarkable ability to connect with audiences. From gospel beginnings with the Soul Stirrers to chart-topping R&B hits such as Who's Making Love, Disco Lady, and Cheaper to Keep Her, Taylor enjoyed a career that lasted more than 40 years. Ironically, many of his biggest songs explored romance, heartbreak, and complicated relationships, the very experiences that also shaped his personal life. Unlike many artists who constantly appeared in celebrity magazines, Johnny kept most of his romantic relationships away from the spotlight. He married and raised a family but rarely discussed private matters publicly, believing his music should speak louder than his personal life. Friends described him as charismatic, humorous, and fiercely protective of those closest to him, even while spending much of the year touring across the United States. Taylor's music frequently reflected real-life relationship struggles, exploring themes of trust, infidelity, forgiveness, and emotional resilience. Songs like Who's Making Love became massive hits because listeners recognized genuine human experiences within his lyrics. Although fans sometimes assumed those songs mirrored his own life, Johnny rarely confirmed whether particular stories were autobiographical, preferring to leave room for interpretation. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Taylor remained one of soul music's most reliable live performers, continuing to entertain audiences long after many of his contemporaries had stepped away from the stage. Despite changing musical trends, he maintained a loyal fan base that appreciated both his authenticity and timeless voice. Johnny Taylor died unexpectedly from a heart attack in 2000 at the age of 66, only days before he was scheduled to perform another concert. His passing shocked the music community and ended an extraordinary career built on honesty, passion, and emotional storytelling. Johnny Taylor's personal life remained relatively private, but his songs revealed a deep understanding of love's joys and disappointments. Through his music, he left behind lessons about commitment, heartbreak, and resilience that continued touching audiences decades after his passing. Phyllis Hyman. Phyllis Hyman possessed one of the most elegant and emotionally expressive voices in R&B and jazz. Her unforgettable recordings, including You Know How to Love Me, Living All Alone, and Old Friend, showcased remarkable vocal control and emotional honesty. While audiences admired her grace and sophistication, few realized how deeply she struggled with loneliness, failed relationships, and mental health challenges behind the scenes. Throughout her career, Phyllis never married, although she experienced several meaningful romantic relationships. Friends often described her as someone who longed for lasting love but found it difficult to balance personal happiness with the pressures of fame. Her demanding career, perfectionist personality, and frequent touring sometimes left little room to build stable relationships. Those closest to her recalled a woman who gave generously to others while quietly carrying emotional burdens of her own. In later years, Phyllis spoke more openly about experiencing depression, becoming one of the few artists of her era whose personal struggles would later help encourage broader conversations about mental health. Her emotional vulnerability could often be heard in her music, particularly in songs exploring heartbreak, disappointment, and hope for genuine companionship. Rather than performing fictional stories, she frequently delivered lyrics with a sincerity that reflected real-life experiences. Despite receiving widespread critical acclaim, Phyllis often felt frustrated that her extraordinary talent did not always receive the commercial recognition she deserved. Friends believed those professional disappointments, combined with personal loneliness, contributed to the emotional pain she carried during much of her adult life. On June 30, 1995, Phyllis Hyman died by suicide at the age of 45. Her passing shocked fans and fellow musicians alike, highlighting the importance of recognizing mental health struggles even among highly successful public figures. Phyllis Hyman's story is ultimately one of remarkable artistry, emotional courage, and human vulnerability. Her music continues reminding listeners that behind every beautiful performance may exist private battles, invisible to the world, making her legacy both inspiring and profoundly moving. Donna Summer. Donna Summer became internationally known as the Queen of Disco, but her remarkable career extended far beyond dance music. With classics including Hot Stuff, Last Dance, Bad Girls and She Works, Hard for the Money, she sold more than 100 million records and became one of the most successful female artists of all time. While her glamorous stage image captivated audiences worldwide, her personal life reflected a steady search for faith, family, and lasting love. Donna first married Austrian actor Helmut Sommer in 1973 after meeting him during the production of the musical Godspell. The couple welcomed their daughter Natalia before their marriage ended in divorce several years later. Although the relationship was relatively brief, Donna later spoke respectfully about that chapter of her life, choosing not to dwell publicly on personal conflicts. In 1980, she married singer and songwriter Bruce Sudano, a relationship that became one of the entertainment industry's most enduring marriages. Together they raised a blended family and welcomed two daughters, Brooklyn and Amanda Sudano, who later pursued successful careers of their own. Friends often describe Donna and Bruce as deeply supportive partners who built a stable family life despite the pressures of international fame. Unlike many celebrities whose romances dominated headlines, Donna gradually shifted her focus toward faith and family. During the later stages of her career, she frequently spoke about the importance of spirituality, believing that personal fulfillment came from meaningful relationships rather than constant public attention. Donna Summer passed away in 2012 at the age of 63 after battling lung cancer. Her death brought an outpouring of tributes, celebrating not only her musical achievements but also her warmth, generosity, and devotion to those she loved. Donna's romantic journey proved that lasting love was possible even within the demanding world of entertainment. Her life remains an inspiring reminder that extraordinary success becomes even more meaningful when shared with family, faith, and genuine commitment. Jermaine Stewart. Jermaine Stewart became one of the most recognizable voices of the 1980s, with infectious hits like We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off, Say It Again, and Jody. His energetic performances, distinctive fashion, and uplifting music earned him international popularity during the height of the MTV era. Yet behind the colorful image was a deeply private man whose personal life remained largely hidden from public view. Unlike many pop stars of his generation, Jermaine rarely discussed his romantic relationships in interviews. During the 1980s, the entertainment industry often placed enormous pressure on artists to maintain carefully managed public images, particularly regarding their personal lives. As a result, Jermaine chose to focus attention on his music rather than his private relationships, allowing very little information about his dating life to become public. Years after his rise to fame, it became widely known that Jermaine had been living with HIV. At a time when fear and misunderstanding surrounding AIDS remained widespread, many public figures chose silence to protect both their careers and personal dignity. Jermaine was among those who valued privacy, rarely speaking publicly about his health while continuing to pursue music whenever possible. As his health gradually declined during the 1990s, he stepped away from the spotlight and spent more time surrounded by close friends and family. Those who knew him described him as warm, kind, and remarkably optimistic despite facing increasingly difficult medical challenges. Jermaine Stewart died in 1997 at the age of 39 from complications related to AIDS. His passing represented not only the loss of a gifted performer, but also one of many heartbreaking reminders of an epidemic that claimed countless lives across the entertainment world. Although little is publicly documented about Jermaine's romantic life, his story reflects the difficult choices many artists faced between protecting personal privacy and living under relentless public attention. His music continues inspiring listeners with its joy, optimism, and timeless message that genuine connection goes far beyond appearances. Sylvester became one of the most groundbreaking voices in disco and soul music, remembered for unforgettable hits like You Make Me Feel Mighty, Real, and Dance Disco Heat. His soaring falsetto, fearless fashion, and unapologetic individuality challenged industry norms long before diversity became widely embraced in mainstream entertainment. While his music celebrated freedom and self-expression, his personal life reflected both the joy and the challenges of living authentically during a difficult era for LGBTQ+ artists. Unlike many performers of his generation, Sylvester refused to hide his identity. At a time when openly gay entertainers often faced discrimination and limited career opportunities, he proudly expressed himself through both his music and public image. Rather than entering highly publicized romantic relationships for appearances, Sylvester chose honesty over convenience, believing that authenticity mattered more than public approval. Although he generally kept the details of his relationships private, friends described him as someone who deeply valued loyalty, trust, and genuine companionship. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Sylvester became an important cultural figure within San Francisco's LGBTQ+ community, using his growing influence to support acceptance and equality. His performances offered audiences more than entertainment; they became celebrations of identity, resilience, and hope. Those close to him remembered his generosity and kindness, qualities that extended far beyond the stage. In the mid-1980s, Sylvester was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS. Despite declining health, he continued recording music and supporting organizations dedicated to AIDS awareness. He remained determined to use his platform to educate others rather than retreat from public life. Before his death, he carefully arranged his estate to benefit charities supporting people living with HIV/AIDS, ensuring his compassion would continue long after he was gone. Sylvester passed away in 1988 at the age of 41. Although his life was tragically cut short, his influence continues inspiring artists across multiple generations. His story reminds us that true love begins with accepting oneself, and that courage can leave a legacy every bit as powerful as music itself. Bobby Womack was one of soul music's most gifted singer-songwriters, creating timeless classics such as If You Think You're Lonely Now, Across 110th Street, and Woman's Gotta Have It. His remarkable career spanned more than 5 decades, earning respect for his raw emotional delivery and extraordinary songwriting. Yet behind the music was a personal life filled with heartbreak, controversial relationships, family tragedy, and remarkable resilience. One of the most controversial chapters of Bobby's life began in 1965 following the murder of his close friend and mentor Sam Cooke. Just 3 months after Cooke's death, Bobby married Barbara Campbell, Sam Cooke's widow. The marriage generated enormous public criticism and permanently altered Bobby's public image. Their relationship became increasingly strained and eventually ended in divorce after several years. Bobby later married Evelyn Womack, and together they built a family while he continued recording and touring. Despite professional success, his personal life was repeatedly shaken by devastating tragedies. In 1988, Bobby's son, Truth Womack, died by suicide at the age of 21, a loss that deeply affected him. Years later, another son, Vincent Womack, also passed away unexpectedly. Those heartbreaking events left lasting emotional scars that Bobby openly acknowledged in interviews. Throughout his career, Bobby also struggled with cocaine addiction, admitting that substance abuse damaged both his health and many of his relationships. After overcoming addiction, he gradually rebuilt his career and returned to recording, earning renewed critical acclaim later in life. Bobby Womack died in 2014 at the age of 70 after facing several serious health problems, including diabetes and cancer. Despite enduring extraordinary personal pain, he never lost his passion for music. His romantic life was often complicated and sometimes controversial, but Bobby Womack's story ultimately reflects redemption, perseverance, and the enduring power of honest songwriting born from real-life experience. Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy Pendergrass possessed one of the most powerful voices in R&B, becoming an international symbol of romance through unforgettable songs like Close the Door, Love TKO, and Turn Off the Lights. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, his concerts attracted devoted fans across the world, and his smooth, confident style made him one of soul music's greatest icons. Yet behind the romantic image was a life forever changed by tragedy, resilience, and an unwavering determination to rebuild. Before his life-changing accident, Teddy enjoyed enormous popularity and was frequently linked to several well-known women. His success, charisma, and good looks made him one of the entertainment industry's most eligible bachelors. Although many aspects of his dating life attracted media attention, Teddy generally kept his most meaningful relationships private, preferring to let his music express emotions rather than discussing them publicly. In March 1982, everything changed when Teddy lost control of his Rolls-Royce in Philadelphia, suffering a devastating spinal cord injury that left him permanently paralyzed from the chest down. The accident abruptly ended his career at its peak and forced him to completely redefine his future. Rather than giving up, Teddy dedicated himself to rehabilitation, eventually returning to the stage in one of the most inspiring comebacks in music history. Years later, Teddy found lasting happiness through his marriage to Joan Williams, whom he married in 2008. Their relationship represented a new chapter built on companionship, faith, and mutual support after decades of extraordinary personal challenges. Beyond music, Teddy became an outspoken advocate for people living with spinal cord injuries, establishing the Teddy Pendergrass Alliance to improve accessibility and quality of life for others facing similar circumstances. Teddy Pendergrass passed away in 2010 at the age of 59. His story proves that while fame may define a career, courage, resilience, and the ability to love again ultimately define a remarkable life. Al Green transformed soul music with classics, including Let's Stay Together, Love and Happiness, and Tired of Being Alone, earning recognition as one of the greatest voices in American music. His warm vocals and heartfelt performances made him a symbol of romance. Yet behind the timeless love songs stood a deeply complicated personal journey marked by heartbreak, faith, and profound personal transformation. During the early 1970s, Al Green enjoyed enormous commercial success while becoming involved in several romantic relationships. The most dramatic chapter occurred in 1974 when Mary Woodson, a woman with whom Green had been romantically involved, arrived unexpectedly at his Memphis home. According to police reports, during an argument, she threw a pot of hot grits on him, causing severe burns to his back, chest, and arms. Moments later, Woodson died by suicide using Green's firearm. The shocking incident became one of the most tragic and widely reported events of his life. Green later described the experience as a turning point that forced him to re-evaluate his priorities. While he continued recording secular music, he increasingly devoted himself to Christianity, eventually becoming an ordained pastor at the Full Gospel Tabernacle Church in Memphis. His spiritual commitment reshaped both his career and his personal outlook, leading him to balance gospel music with selected secular recordings. Although Al later married Shirley Kiles in 1977, the marriage experienced years of difficulty before ending in divorce. Despite those challenges, Green maintained close relationships with his children and remained active in both music and ministry, rather than allowing tragedy to define him. Al Green built a second chapter centered on faith, forgiveness, and service. His remarkable ability to overcome devastating personal loss while continuing to inspire audiences has earned admiration far beyond the music industry. Today, Al Green's legacy extends beyond his unforgettable voice. His life stands as a powerful reminder that redemption, personal growth, and renewed purpose can emerge even after life's darkest moments. Ron Isley. Ron Isley has spent more than 6 decades as the unmistakable voice of the Isley Brothers, helping shape the sound of soul, R&B, funk, and contemporary music through classics like Between the Sheets, For the Love of You, and Contagious. Few artists have remained relevant across as many generations, but behind the remarkable career lies a personal story defined by enduring love, family commitment, and resilience through life's unexpected challenges. Throughout his life, Ron has experienced both triumph and adversity. After an earlier marriage ended, he found lasting happiness with singer and dancer Candy Johnson, a member of the R&B group JS. Despite an age difference of more than 30 years, the couple married in 2005 after several years together. Their relationship initially attracted considerable public attention because of the significant age gap, but they consistently demonstrated that mutual respect and genuine affection mattered more than outside opinions. Together, Ron and Candy welcomed their son, Ronald Isley Jr., bringing renewed joy to the legendary singer later in life. Friends and family often describe Ron as a devoted husband and father who places enormous importance on spending time with loved ones whenever his touring schedule allows. Unlike many celebrity marriages, their relationship has remained remarkably stable despite decades in the entertainment industry. Ron has also overcome serious personal obstacles, including legal and financial difficulties during the 2000s. Following his release from prison after serving time for tax-related offenses, he returned to performing with renewed determination, continuing to record music and tour internationally well into his 80s. His perseverance has earned admiration from both longtime fans and younger generations discovering his extraordinary catalog. Now regarded as one of soul music's greatest living legends, Ron Isley has shown that lasting love, personal growth, and resilience are possible even after life's setbacks. His remarkable journey proves that while fame may come and go, genuine commitment and family remain among life's greatest achievements. As we've seen, behind the smooth voices, timeless love songs, and legendary performances were lives filled with heartbreak, difficult choices, hidden relationships, and unforgettable moments that shaped music history. Some of these stories inspired classic hits, while others remained buried for years before finally coming to light. But every legend leaves behind a story that is far more complicated than the public ever imagined. Which revelations surprised you the most, and which Black R&B legend do you believe had the most shocking love life of them all? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this journey through music history, please like this video, subscribe to Golden Black Legends, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the untold stories behind the icons who changed the world forever.